In this session we're busy with creditors payments, and we're now looking at how to allocate a payment. Remember, as I've mentioned before, if you process a debit transaction for creditors, you have to allocate, whether it's a credit note, a payment, or a journal debit, you will have to allocate those transactions. Now, at the moment, all the credit transactions is on the left-hand side of the screen. The debit transactions is on the right. What you have to do is you have to move the information from the right-hand side across to the left-hand side of the screen to allocate. So the easiest way to do this is I can click and drag. Now you'll see here, whenever a transaction line is in yellow, it means it has not been allocated. When it's blue, it's partially allocated, and when it's white, it's completely allocated. So I've still got 2,220 Rand to allocate, so I can now continue to allocate my transactions here. So you are basically now specifying what was this payment for. If you want to reverse it, all you do is you double click on your payment again and it will reverse those transactions. Let me show you. Or I could have clicked on reverse payment. Toggle means that you will grey a transaction, you're busy, or it's still under investigation basically. Show match payments. So if I click on the option, it will show me the payment that was used for that transaction. You can then search for debit, you can search for credit transactions, you can, with visible fields, change the fields you see in front of you. You can pay a match entry, or you can remove all the completed entries. But please be careful, because once you've removed them, you can only recall one transaction at a time. Then you can all allocate a transaction to the oldest balance of the selected item, or you can reverse all payments, or reverse a selected payment, or you can allocate all to oldest. So for instance, I can say, well, allocate all to oldest, then it will take this amount and it will allocate it to the oldest outstanding amount. Or you can say allocate up to selected. So if my cursor was up to a certain point and I had enough money to allocate all these transactions, it would then allocate up to where my cursor is. And then you can also say show paid items. You can use the options at the bottom, or you can click and drag the transaction across. That is your choice. Just remember, you should always allocate all your outstanding for creditors debit transactions, and you must make sure that before you go and look at all your reporting options, that all your payments or your debit transactions has been allocated. Also keep in mind that what you do here will directly influence the age analysis. And that concludes looking at creditors' payments.